Great to see you here. Yeah, so my name's Nich. I'll be talking about the wallet and UX stack today to build applications for the masses. I'm a researcher at 1KX on the investment side, focused on middleware. And what do we mean by middleware? Why did we see this as an investable sector? Is because we asked ourselves the question, what accelerates innovation and adoption in Web3, right? And so the two things that does this is one, smart contract developer tooling that improves the developer experience, and two, it's wallet infrastructure that helps us improve the Web3 user experience. So we'll be talking about how these two things have evolved over the past few years and why there's no better time now to build a Web3 application than today. So let's talk about dev tools. If you look at what the developer experience was like to build on Ethereum from 2016 till now, back in 2016, you had to run and maintain your own node. You have to write your own token contract. There was no ERC20. There was no token standards for you to just import. You have to implement your own wallet connector. So be opinionated about the wallets that users have to download and use in order to connect to your application. And then you have to wrangle with really raw on-chain data and basically be an expert in blockchain, like how the core protocol works, before you even get to implement your application, right? Today, thanks to all these tools, the time taken has gone for you to deploy your dApp has gone from hours to days to literally minutes. And you can come in as a Web2 developer and pretty much get started right away building applications on Web3. So if you look at how Web2 developer tools removed the barrier to innovation and the impact that this had, in the mid-2000s, you had the advent of cloud computing, right, which democratized access to powerful hardware. So people who are building websites didn't have to think about running their own servers anymore to connect to the internet. And this unlocked the wave of early Web2 apps, Netflix, MySpace, and so on. And then you had API-driven development that allows you to connect to third-party databases and do programmatic data reads and writes, so you don't have to implement your every service in-house from scratch. So if you look at things like Plaid, this payments rails allowed fintech apps like Venmo and Robinhood and Shopify to be built. And then you have development frameworks allow you to reuse pre-written code and scaffold performant and responsive web apps without having to start it from scratch. And in Web2, this took over 2 decades to get to where we are today, for the experience to get to where it is today, for the 14 million JavaScript developers that are out there, compared to the tens of thousands of blockchain devs. So in Web3, we've seen new abstractions and dev tools improve the developer experience as well. From the first ICOs and Ethereum launching in 2015 to Infura and Consensus, MetaMask, so on, allowing devs to outsource the node infra so people don't have to run their own nodes anymore, to token standards, truffle, ganache, if people were developing dApps in 2016, remember those scaffolding frameworks. And protocol APIs like Chainlink, the graph, allowing you to read from the blockchain without having to wrangle with low-level blockchain data. Continuing to today, we had early DeFi primitives in 2019 with things like Aave, Uniswap, allowing you to scaffold and compose on these open DeFi protocols and build on these DEXs and build more and more subsequently complex applications. To things like Foundry launching, getting easier to build and test. And now, over the past 2 years, we had account abstraction technologies, which we'll go into more deeply in a little bit, that completely changes and flips the user onboarding journey onto Web3 on its head, right? It's even getting easier to navigate docs. So, developers are going to a website and learning what it is that a protocol does. Now AI tools are allowing ChatGPT-like interfaces for you to learn about how to get started on a dev tool right away. So if we think about how users have onboarded onto Web3 in the past, the most successful crypto businesses have been centralized exchanges, right? People onboard onto Binance, Coinbase, OKX, and they just stay there and they never kind of funnel into the self-custodial stack and use dapps. And the most successful self-custodial dapps have been these exchange-owned wallets because they're like the most defensible top of funnel for people to go in. And then you have things like portfolio trackers, which is like just a small percentage of people who onboard onto like Binance and so on. So why is this, right? Because exchanges have been the best at helping users achieve a very common goal for entering crypto so far, which is buying and trading and holding tokens. And the usability of exchanges is, pretty much top of the line, right? You have the familiar email-based onboarding, seedless, fiat on-ramping. It's gas abstracted, it's chain abstracted. There's been, there's a lot of talk on, chain abstraction and account abstraction. Centralized exchanges have been, offering this experience from the beginning. But then what makes a user then funnel down the line onto self-custody and dapps, right? It's lucrative on-chain opportunities that aren't offered by these exchanges. So this has differed for each cycle. We had DeFi summer back in 2020. We had NFT mania, and then we had ordinals. We had meme coins, right now, and like point farming and airdrops. So the opportunity for dapps to be built, you can use account abstraction and wallet infrastructure to onboard users into your application right away without having to require them to go to a centralized exchange or even download standalone wallets. So here we have like a few examples of dapps onboarding without like going through centralized exchanges. But the technology that allows you to do so is wallet infrastructure, right? If you look at how you interact with dapps before you even make your first transaction back in 2018, you see this confusing wallet selector screen where the user has to navigate out of your dApp, download a separate application that they don't know, onboard to a centralized exchange to get gas, top it up with their wallet before they even get to connect and like interact with your application. Nowadays, with embedded wallets and onboarding SDKs, you're creating embedded wallets on behalf of the users, and without having to make them navigate out to a third-party app, and also the wallet is created on the user's behalf directly. And this is like a very, very meaningful change, right? This is an excerpt from Coinbase's Q3 investor report. Ever since they implemented their smart wallet, account abstraction wallet in their dApps, the dApps onboarding time has reduced from what was 2.5 hours before the user made their first transactions to 8 minutes. And when you compare it to Web2 dApps, this is kind of Web2 applications, this is still kind of average, right? But it's a drastic improvement from how users would interact with their dApps just from a few years ago. And so every layer of the wallet stack removes user friction and points of churn, right? So you have key management and signers, allowing users to do signature abstraction and interact with each chain without having to be chain aware, and do seedless onboarding through their emails and familiar Web2 logins, to smart accounts, right? Where you can really scope out the security features of your wallet and do things like recovery, multi-factor, and sub-accounts. To account modules, this is an emergent sort of development pattern we've seen where the users or the dApps can install a regular smart account wallet, but then subsequently extend on the features through modules that are being built by third-party developers. So the wallets are now becoming more like developer platforms where you can install these features without having to onboard onto another wallet. To creativity and communication, helping you do things like transaction batching, where you don't have to, where you can do multiple transactions in one click, and also permissioning and session keys, where you don't have to do confirmations with every interaction that you do on chain. Some things that we're seeing on the horizon are things like personalization APIs. that allows wallets to give notifications to users, alerting them of things that they can do on-chain, personalized to what they've done before, right? So this is things like available NFT mints, art collections that they can do, quests that they're eligible for. And these things are very useful for improving retention and improving the sort of transacting users on wallets. To things like policy expression, prerequisites on who and how you want to interact with on-chain protocols. To things like chain abstraction, this is aggregating your liquidity across multiple chains, and it just helps, helps us being, like removing the requirement of being chain aware in this multi-chain, sort of multi-layer 2 universe. To things like data pipeline and warehousing to make more performant dapps. If you look at the adoption of smart accounts, there's been a lot of discussion about 4337 and account abstraction here. It's grown pretty fair over the past year and a half or so after the entry point contract launch. But what's really exciting that's on the horizon is something called EIP 7702, right? So if you look at the account abstraction, sort of 4337 adoption relative to the hype that it created last year, it could be a little bit underwhelming sometimes, but this is because 4337 requires dapps to sort of deploy new accounts for new users, and it's very, very high friction for users with existing EOAs to migrate their assets and their identity to a new wallet, right? And the dapps have existing EOA users already. There's like little incentive for them to do that. But with 7702, which is coming in Q1 next year, it allows EOAs to deploy code to the address and upgrade itself to a smart account. So then users can experience the benefits of account abstraction, which are primarily gas sponsorship, transaction batching, passkeys. And we think that the top wallets will likely implement this, but require users to opt in instead of enabling it by default, because this still doesn't subvert the passkeys and seed phrase risk of EOAs. So you still need actual like native account abstraction for that to happen. But it also can improve security via session keys, right? Yeah, so we think users will opt into this if they want to use a dApp or feature that requires AA features. And embedded wallets will actually play a key role in this, because it puts this decision on developers instead of users, without waiting for users to enable 7702 for their standalone wallets. So in summary, all of these abstractions, both on the DevX and UX side, increase the pace of innovation and adoption. Better smart contract developer tooling increases DevX, more developers, more applications, and then wallet infrastructure enables better user experience, better apps, and hopefully more users. And yeah, that's the talk. Happy to answer any questions.
I think we have one question so far. You guys still have time to submit questions if we can do so quickly. The first one is, what is your thought on the kind of chaotic standards and implementations of account abstraction combined with the friction of L2 in Ethereum?
The chaotic, I'm not sure I understand the question.
I don't think I understand either. If we have any other questions, or if whoever asked the question wants to elaborate, what do you think would be the end game of on-chain experience, and how far are we from there?
So if you think about when you're using a dApp today, and the amount of time you're spending doing things other than using the dApp. So for example, like right now, if I want to use like an NFT, art marketplace, right? Historically, I have to download a wallet and top it up with gas, and if it's on the wrong chain, I have to migrate and so on. So that's like not helping me achieve my goal of buying NFTs, right? I think the the end game is reducing the amount of time that I have to think about blockchain stuff versus using the dApp is as little as possible.
How do you think the hardware wallet ecosystem, anything you are interested? I'm going to mark that as answered.
The hardware wallet? I don't think hardware wallets are going to go away. It's, hardware wallets is definitely found PNF with users who wants to keep their assets super safe. But things like smart accounts and multi-signature wallets, I think, is something that I'm most excited about, because with hardware wallets, if you lose that, then that's still a single point of failure, right? I think hardware wallets are great as signers to something like a safe.
What is a good way to onboard very casual dApp users who want to hold either zero or very tiny amounts of crypto that need low to medium level security and upgrade the security as the balance grows?
I think onboarding SDKs and embedded wallets are a great solution for this. So embedded wallets, to the user, they come up as these modals that allows you to either sign up or log into the dApp with their emails. They create a wallet on their behalf, and right now embedded wallets are a very powerful player in the market, because they can aggregate different products and services like fiat on-ramps, swaps, off-ramps, and things like that. And you can also sponsor gas for the users as well. So the gas sponsoring on L2 has become a user acquisition cost now for dApps, because gas is low enough for you to just do that on behalf of users and allow them to make the first transactions. So I think, that's an easy way for you to onboard casual users. And you're seeing now different chains offering gas subsidies for dApp developers to build on their chain and use their services. If you're building on Base, for example, they have their smart wallet, their on-chain kit, and they have their paymasters as well, I think giving away around 30K in gas credits for you to build on them. So yeah, there's a lot of optionality now that you have as a dApp user.
Can you give a good example of a smart account implementation to raise the penetration of a Web3 game?
I think so smart account implementations are pretty agnostic in terms of what types of use cases they enable. But there are, gaming developer platforms, for example, that have dev tools for you to scaffold your game, like NFT marketplaces and embedded wallets, have these embedded wallet solutions on behalf of their platform. So I look into those.
I think this is a good one. What customizations could L2s do to reach UX endgame faster than L1?
So we're starting to see specialized L2s now versus generalized. So by generalized versus specialized, I'm talking about things that came out, 2020, 2021, like Optimism, Arbitrum, and so on. That's kind of doing a wide blanket of the types of dApps that they want to be built on their ecosystem. But now we have consumer-focused layer 2s like Abstract, which is built by the Pudgy Penguin team. That is specifically focused on consumer apps. So this comes with everything from native account abstraction to gas sponsorships to embedded wallets, and that optimizes for the types of apps that you want to build for consumers. So I'd look into things like Abstract Chain.
Is there any possibility to help user navigating through dApps more safely?
Yeah, so a lot of wallets now are going away from the blind signing pattern, where users are signing things and they actually don't know what it is, to having a clear and verified, human-readable information that pops up that allows a user to be really aware of what it is that they're signing for. And then there's some small tools like Fire, which I think is now Cerberus, that warns you if a dApp that you're interacting with is dangerous or malicious or not. So yeah, there's these like registries of trusted contracts that you can install within wallets or within your browser extensions to do like a double check.
What standard do you think will get the lowest friction in the years to come?
The lowest friction. I mean, with 7.702, I think it's like a step forward from 4.3.7, right? Because 4.3.7, you still have to deploy a new wallet.
What are your thoughts on differentiating wallet types or front-end experiences for users, e.g. a wallet address is like a bank account number for many, which increases friction?
Yeah, so there's a few like identity protocols that allow you to have different addresses mapped to a human-readable name. So like these, things like ENS and things like clusters, which allows you to have aliases on different chains, and that maps to a wallet, would improve the user experience a lot because, yeah, I don't think addresses are that meaningful to the vast majority of users, whereas I can just say, niche.eth, and have people send tokens to me there.
How do we solve the fact that embedded wallets are siloed to the app where they are created? Is that really Web3?
So the dApp specificity and the siloed issue was an issue in the past, but projects like Capsule and Privy have now launched global wallet, embedded wallet features where if you create a wallet within one dApp, you can sign in with the same login, and that wallet will be imported to another dApp. So this was an issue in the past, but the embedded wallet providers are launching or have launched these features in the past few months.
Since Web3 dApps tend not to analyze user events via tools like Mixpanel, Sentry, etc., this does affect user experience. Is there a Web3 alternative to conduct user analytics while sticking to Web3 ethos?
There are tools for dApp analytics, like telemetry performance, showing the dApp developers analytics of like where the users are dropping off, but this is quite nascent. It's offered at a primitive level, I believe, by things like Alchemy, and there's a few Web3 analytics protocols that are starting to do that. But since a lot of things are on chain, the dApp developers are being savvy and kind of doing these analytics themselves because I think we haven't reached the scale where developers are willing to pay for these tools in terms of like the revenue they're generating from their dApps. So yeah, we haven't seen sophisticated analytics tools yet.
What about UX and account abstraction beyond EVM?
Yeah, so I think, the concept of AA is very EVM sort of centric, right? Solana has a completely different account model where this account abstraction features are baked in from scratch, and you can have other parties natively pay for your gas. So for some like non-EVM sort of chains, this is kind of a moot point because it's natively baked into their protocols, which is what Ethereum aims to do with native account abstraction.
How do we do away with seed phrases and private keys? Can an alternative be secure?
Yeah, so that's what native account abstraction aims to do, right? We want smart accounts to be the default thing. We want users to be able to sign with any keys that they want, like pass keys, social login, email addresses, hardware wallets, and so on. The alternative is, why the alternative is more secure is because it's removing the central point of failure, right? The point of removing seed phrases is removing this point of failure and having like redundancy in terms of like what keys can be used to move assets out of your account. And then you can scope the different permissions or capabilities based on each of these keys. So yeah, that's why smart accounts where you can have features like multi-signature and session keys and recovery we want to make that the default way that people interact on chain.
That's all the time that we have for questions right now. Thanks you guys for asking a ton of questions.
It's a lot of questions.
Yeah, if they want to ask questions, is there anywhere that they can reach out to you after?
Yes. I think, can I go back to the slide? Well, you can just find me around here.
Okay.
Or like, yeah.
But can we give a final round of applause for Nich?
Thank you.